In this video, we're going to take a look at the dice tutorial, where we get to learn how to use the accelerometer to display different outputs whenever you shake the microbit. Whenever you click on any of the tutorials, you have options. You can play the video ahead of time, which is always great to kind of get to know what you're about to get yourself into. And you can also choose the coding platform that you would like to tackle this challenge with. We're going to go with the blocks tutorial in this video. At the beginning of every tutorial, you're always given a prompt, and when you are ready to get going, you just click OK. The focus is really to get you to understand the accelerometer and how it can take an input of being shaken and produce an output. What we're being asked to do in this first step is try to find the on-shake block. Now this is an input, the input of shaking the microbit. So we're going to go to the input menu, and we're going to grab the on-shake block. Now notice all the different options beyond shaking. You can use the accelerometer, the built-in compass, even the gyroscope to rotate the microbit around to get different outputs based on the position and location of the microbit. Now we're just going to focus on the shake for the purpose of this demonstration, but it does give you some ideas about what you might be able to do with your microbit in future projects. Now if we ever need help with anything, don't forget there's always the little light bulb. You can click to show the hint, and it's telling us, hey, look for that input thing. Grab that on-shake block. Now our next instruction is that on shake, we want to see a number. And the show number, you can see the blue color, it's going to be in the basic blocks. And we're going to grab the show number. So on shake, we want to show the number 0. We can even over here on the left, take a look at our virtual microbit, give it a shake, and there we go. On shake, it shows the number 0. So let's take a look at what's next. Now what we want to do is we want this to act like you're rolling a die. So when you roll a die, there's 6 sides, unless you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then there's many numbers of sides. And so you can play around with the randomization of the numbers that are available whenever you shake. But let's say we're working with a standard 6-sided die. Now what we want to do is that involves using some math. We're going to pick a random number, and what we're going to do is we're going to drop this right inside where it says 0. So instead of showing the number 0, we want it to pick a random number. And if you ever look at a die, there is no number 0 on a die. So we're going to pick 1, and it's a 6-sided die, so anywhere from 1 to 6 is what we want to see. Give the code a little bit of a second. You can check the virtual here. Every time we shake, a random number appears. So really, that's all there is to this. If the accelerometer receives the input of shaking, generate a random number within the range that you've posted. We've already set our variables from 1 to 6 to match a die. We are all good there. And in the simulator, we've checked it. And every time we shake it, we get a random number. And we are all set. And now we're done. We can download this to our microbit, or we can continue to play with the code. And what I want to do next is take this a little bit further to really polish it up. We want users to realize that they need to interact with the microbit to get it to generate a number, to use it like a die. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use a variable called number. Because we're showing a number, it says show a number. This word number is simply saying show a variable, a random number between 1 to 6. But we want to basically be able to set that number and display it for the user so they know what number they rolled consistently. And we want to let them know that they need to interact with the microbit. They have to shake it in order to get the program to run, in order for them to use it like a die. So we're going to start by just creating a variable. We're going to make a variable. We're going to call it number. And notice that we now have some options here. We can set the number, we can change a number, and then we also have a circle of generate this variable. So if we take a look here, on shake, we want to show a random number between 1 to 6, and this works. And it shows the number, but we didn't know that we needed to shake it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, on start, we want to send the user a message that says, hey, shake me, and I will change to a different number. Right now, we're going to keep this simple, and I'm just going to say shake. And if we show this at the start, we can see that when it starts, it says shake, and then it stops. Now, the user may or may not have seen this when you first turn it on, so we want to keep that looping until the user actually shakes it. And so what we're going to do for that is we're going to go into a loop, and we want to use, we could repeat it forever, but then it might repeat forever and then never listen to when you shake it. So what we want to do is say, while it's not shaken, do something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this while block, and we're going to say, while whatever command, we're going to build that in a second, show the shake string. Now we're dealing with a number. Remember that variable we created? So let's go back here. We're going to use this set number. So when we first start our program, we want our number to be 0, basically not one of the faces of the die. We want it to be 0. It doesn't show a 0, but the bit is keeping in memory that, hey, you've got a number 0, some variable, that your number is starting at 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to use some logic in here. We're going to go to logic. We're going to say that while the number, let's change that. Now remember that we have this little circular variable. While the number is 0, show the string shake, telling the user, hey, shake me. Now the thing is that if we shake it, it waits for the text, shows you the shaken number, and then it goes right back. Because you know what we didn't do is we didn't tell the microbit to save the new number. We just said show quickly a random number, and then it's going right back because we set the number to 0. So what we need to do is we need to tell this code to change the number to a random number, set the number to a random number, and then show it. Stop showing the command to shake it. Just show the number that was produced. Let me show you what I mean. So we're going to go back to variables. And what we want to do is we're going to use this set number again. And rather than set the number to 0 when you shake it, you're just going to set it to any random number when you shake it. And when you set the number, that doesn't show anything. In fact, now that it says show 0, we could shake, it's going to show 0, and that's it. The number has been set to some other number besides 0, but we don't know it because we're showing the number 0. We want it to show whatever this number was. So there's a couple of ways we could do it. We can go to the variables menu and grab the number here, or we can duplicate from here. This is also another easy way to do it. So what we're going to do is we're just simplifying this for the microbit. We're saying, hey, when you shake, we're going to set you to a new number and show me that number. And if the number is 0, which only happens at the very beginning, show the shake string repeatedly until I shake it. Let's see if it's working. So if I click on shake, remember it has to go through the text first, and then it's displaying a number, and it's not changing back. It's showing me the random number I produced when I shook the microbit. Let's shake it again, and we get another random number. We shake it again, another random number. And so what we have is we have a working die. Once the user is shaking it, they start to realize, hey, I'm getting any number between 1 and 6. Now, if we reset the microbit, it goes back to set the number to 0, and while it's 0, show me shake. And now we could change this message to shake me. You could show dice. Let's just put in dice because that's the name of this activity. Dice. We give it a shake, and it should start generating random numbers. There we go. And so now we've just taken this a little step further. We've learned about variables. We learned a little bit about how to make a conditional loop. And now we have something that a user would see that they need to interact with. You've told them what to do with it. Hey, this is a dice. Most people think about a dice and go, oh, I probably need to shake it or roll it or bump it. And so there we go. Now in a moment, we're going to switch over and let's see what this looks like on the actual microbit. In order to do that, we're going to have to download this to the microbit. We click on download. This will download your code to your computer, but notice you can also pair with your microbit, which will automatically download. So if you're hooked up to your microbit via USB, you can click on pair now, go through the menus, and then when the pop-up for your microbit shows up, highlight your microbit, hit connect, and now you're connected so that the next time you hit download, it just downloads directly to your microbit. So here we have the program downloaded to our microbit, and we have our scrolling message across the screen because our variable has set the number to 0, and as long as it is 0, it's going to show this message. Now let's give this a little shake. Let's see if we get our random number. There we go. I shook it twice, so we got a double roll here. We give it a nice shake. And we get a new random number. There we go. We've got a functional die. Our code is working. So you've learned about how to use the accelerometer on a microbit, how to use a variable, and also a conditional loop in order to create a really simple interactive program.